Hello everybody, Josh12 back here again with another video, and I'm here with my official review for Dragon Ball Super Episode 49. Yes, I know I'm a little late to the party here, but I'm here to give you my personal thoughts on the episode. But of course, if you haven't seen it already, please go check it out because this review may contain spoilers. But that being said, let's get into the newest episode of Dragon Ball Super. Now, of course, this is the third episode within the new Trunks saga, and I can honestly say Toei Animation and the anime is on fire when it comes to Dragon Ball Super. Granted, for the longest time, I've always loved the manga, but seeing as how the manga is kind of like fucking up right now, the anime is where it's at. However, I do have certain negatives, opinions, if you will, more or less gripes and nitpicky kind of opinions than anything really serious. So, for the sake of not sounding overly positive about this saga, I will talk about that first and then move on to my positives. But overall, the summary of the episode is of thus. It's pretty much Trunks waking up after having his massive battle with Black, and of course is going in his little time coma, if you will. He unleashes on Goku, and I think the great thing about that sequence is that it ends very much quickly. And then after that, it's pretty much just Trunks recapping and explaining what's really happened through the years in his timeline in comparison to real timeline, which is, or at least current timeline, if you will, whichever you want to go with, and pretty much leads off into the upcoming threat that is Black coming into our real timeline and facing off against Goku and the rest of the Z Warriors. And that's pretty much what this episode is. It's pretty much just a recap of Trunks telling us what we're going into, what's really been going on in his time, and the threat that is Black and why Trunks attacked Goku at the end of the previous episode. So that's pretty much what this episode is. Now, going into my negatives, I can honestly say the big thing has to be, I want to say, the Pilaf gang. I'm going to say this once because I know they're going to come back for multiple episodes within the saga, so I don't want to sound like I'm overly bitching, but do we really need the Pilaf gang to be a major portion within Dragon Ball Super? I mean, there's a reason why we left those characters on GT, because GT tried to do the same thing, where it's like, oh, the Pilaf gang is back, they're here, and they ruined the entire series by making Goku a kid, and that was pretty much it. We never saw them again, and that's why we don't need the Pilaf gang. Like, no offense to Akira Toriyama and Toei Animation, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, they definitely got me chuckling when it came to Battle of Gods and their appearance, but at this point in time, stop trying to push the Pilaf gang down our fucking throats. Like, please, just stop it. It's just unnecessary. If you want to, like, push a brand of characters, why don't you push the brand of characters that we actually enjoy and love? Like, what about Tien Shannon and Chaozu? We haven't really seen them be relevant in a long time. Or what about freaking, 18 and Krillin? Or Piccolo, for fuck's sake. I mean, this series clearly seems to fuck over Piccolo. Why not use him and utilize him? Or why not characters we haven't even seen in freaking forever, who we all know still exist, like Launch? Or how about Android 17? These are just things that... These are characters that are far more grand and far more interesting to watch and obviously add more to the series than the Pilaf gang. And I get it. This is their way of, like, really getting Mai to be with Trunks because whatever. But at the end of the day, it's just useless. It's like Mai and Trunks will get together at one point, but they're still kids in this series. That will happen later when he's like in his fucking 30s or whatever age he is right now. We'll deal with that later. Why Pilaf gang now? Like, yes, they're funny. It's all fun and games, but if you really wanted to push Pilaf gang, why not make their own spin-off series for kiddies? Just like this 5-year-old cartoon shit with the Pilaf gang instead of in our Dragon Ball content. That's my personal opinion. Let me know what you think about that. But of course, moving off of that, another real big thing is the animation. Granted, this is a huge criticism in Dragon Ball Super in general, but I feel like I've come to the conclusion that there is 3 versions of the Dragon Ball Super anime, and it comes in these specific lanes that it basically borderlines from time to time. Number 1, it's either fucking phenomenal, which is rare, and then it's subpar, which is most of the time, and then it's complete shit, which it is occasionally. This particular episode kind of borderlines it being kind of shitty. The animation wasn't really on point. It looked very wonky and wacky, which was really, granted, nothing really epic or amazing happened, but for the moments that were kind of epic and awesome, it would have been nice to have some pretty badass animation and artwork to look at, which we did not get within this episode. Moving off of that, major gripes that I have has to be the freaking flashback sequences. The great thing about it is that we finally understood and got to see what Trunks had to deal with, future Trunks rather, had to deal with when it came to the Buu Saga, which is a major portion within Dragon Ball Z. So it was kind of cool to see Trunks deal with Deborah and Babidi and the upcoming resurgence, if you will, or emergence of Majin Buu. That was really cool, interesting stuff. But the way they showed it was kind of shitty. I mean, like, for a portion of Dragon Ball Z that's really huge and has so many stupid shit in it, like fusions and Super Saiyan 3s and Goku and Vegeta bitching at each other, it was kind of just done half-ass in future Trunks' time. Now, granted, the argument or the debate could be made that, you know, if it wasn't for Gohan fucking it up with his fight with Deborah, or Vegeta becoming Majin Vegeta and wanting to pick a fight with Goku, that the Majin Buu arc would have, you know, realistically been taken, you know, to consideration, all things considered, would have been done easily with Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan if they were actually serious about what was going on, like the Kai was trying to do. And I guess that's where Trunks comes in, where he doesn't really have anybody to really play off of. He can really take things down quite seriously and to the point in comparison to Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan. However, for a saga and a story arc that's very grand, it would have been nice to see a little bit more, I guess, continuity, you know, make a little sense. At least in the video games, they did a more better job. I mean, Trunks becomes Super Saiyan 3, he takes on Majin Buu. That was some epic, cool stuff. You know, Dragon Ball Heroes did better than Super. I mean, like, and that's not even official shit. I'm just saying, that's fucking wacky to me. That's crazy. It was cool to mention it, but it was just crappy the way they showed it, in my personal opinion. Moving off that, we also got a little reference and origin to not Super, but Black Goku, or at least just Black as I like to call him in these reviews, which wasn't really that much of an origin. It's pretty much Trunks saying, like, well, after the Cell, you know, threat and after the emergence of Majin Buu, there was a lot of peace and tranquility within Earth, but then Black showed up. We don't really know how, but he just showed up and started blasting cities and skyscrapers, and that's pretty much it. Granted, I'm pretty sure within this saga we will get an origin story to Black at some point, but I feel like for the sake of Trunks and his explaining skills, it would have been nice to, like, I don't know, give some details as to what this character's been up to and doing, other than just like, hey, I'm here, and then starts blowing up shit and some crappy animated, like, flashback. It just, something cooler, something a little bit more epic. That's really all I can really say on that. And plus, to top it all off, the sausages. Really? Really, that was so cringeworthy, I don't even know. I mean, yeah, it was funny. I mean, Beerus and Whis, they're hilarious. Let's be honest, they're hilarious. But did we really need that sausage sequence? It was like almost as cringeworthy. Not as bad, because at least in this, you know, series it was funny, because they didn't take themselves seriously. But it almost felt as cringeworthy as like the Jolly Rancher scene in Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. It's like, really? Why are you throwing sausage? You keep sausage in your fucking coat and you fucking... Ew, it's just creepy and weird. What did she do with that sausage? She just... I don't know. It's just creepy questions. And then everybody freaking out over, like, if they never ate sausage before. I mean, there's some creepy shit within that scene. It's just very creepy and cringeworthy. Granted, the comedic element was there. It just... Ugh, it was a little creepy to me. But moving off of that, major positives. Trunks and Goku meeting each other again after all these years. Really nice. Trunks meeting everyone in general was fucking nice. It was really awesome to see Trunks finally interact with these characters again. The one true Trunks, which is future Trunks, which is the only Trunks I consider serious and realistically the best one. It was just nice to see them interact again. It was really cool to see Trunks, like, realize that he kind of fucked up. I love Bulma's slap to the head. I really am glad that they didn't try to drag that out and just make an entire episode to, like, hey, Goku's gonna fight Trunks, even though that kind of happens later half in the episode. But the way they handled it, really nice, very comedic. Beerus and Whis was also hilarious. I loved watching their reactions to, you know, Bulma and Trunks' misuse of time and, creating a time machine and all that kind of stuff, and having Whis explain, the butterfly effect and how misusing time can really destroy the world and the universe, if you will, which was really cool and obviously makes a lot of sense. And it was really funny to see Goku kind of react that there's another Goku out there with a cooler name, which was hilarious. There was just a lot of really funny, awesome elements. Of course, the Pilaf gang and everyone else, trying to fuck with little kid Trunks about like, hey, who's this guy? It's like, oh, it's you. A lot of really funny, cool stuff there. And of course, let's get into it. Goku versus Trunks. Granted, it was a sparring session. I was hoping for something not as extravagant, but something that was a little interesting. We kind of got that within this. But of course, once again, it kind of goes back to my negatives, which is, hey, the animation kind of sucked. But overall, it was really cool. Basically, Goku wants to test his ability against Trunks. He wants to see how Trunks has progressed and see how he kind of stands off against Black, which doesn't really make sense because, through regular logic, I mean, like, if Trunks can't beat Black, I mean, like, what's the point of testing your strength against him? But whatever, it is what it is. They start, training in this weird sparring session. Bulma uses this, anime-only type of technology that doesn't make any sense. And, of course, they start battling each other. And I loved it, mostly due to the fact of one major reason. And it is because it felt like a great nostalgic a comparison and throwback to the first time Goku and Trunks met and faced off against each other, Z, which I thought was amazing. Because back when I saw Z, and I saw that arc for the first time, and I saw Trunks, like, become Super Saiyan, pull out the sword, and attack Goku, that blew my mind back when I was fucking adolescence. When I was an adolescent kid, I was like, holy shit, what is he doing? That's my Goku. You don't attack my Goku. Who's this fucking bastard kid? And then you find out the history and, what's really going on in the situation, and then you forget. But it was always like a real fucking epic scene that messed me up as a kid. And it was really cool to see a throwback to that. Granted, it's not as epic as the Z version, but it was still kind of cool. They both become Super Saiyan 2s. They fight for a little bit. Goku becomes Super Saiyan 3, takes on his Trunks' sword head on, and then just obliterates him because, let's face facts, Goku is far beyond Trunks at this point. I mean, like, maybe back in Z, Trunks had maybe the edge against most of the Z Warriors, like Vegeta and Goku and so on and so forth, but at this point in time, Trunks is, he's like Gohan on par, if you will. That's just how sad it's become. But at the end of the day, it was really cool to see that kind of stuff. And of course, the epicness that was Black using his weird time ring, going back into the past, or at least in this alternate timeline, which, once again, timelines really get confusing, but going into this current timeline and then freaking staring down Goku and then them addressing each other, and of course getting the epicness that could be a big epic fight within next week's episode. Really great stuff there. And of course, another great plus is the endings. I mean, like, if there's something I can really say kudos to the anime, is that so far within this saga, they've given us some pretty freaking epic, badass endings. I mean, the first episode's ending was awesome and epic. It was Trunks losing Mai, she dies, Black being revealed for the first time. Episode 2, Trunks wakes up in the past, or at least in the past, present, alternate timeline, whatever you want to call it. And of course, freaking going on full assault attack on Goku, which was fucking a numbnuts idea. And then of course, this episode ends with Black going into this timeline and fucking going to stare down freaking Goku. There was just really great epic stuff within this episode. It was really great. It was mostly just a recap and more of a comedy episode, but those moments is what really made it for me. But with that being said and done, and getting into my final verdict for this episode, has to be a solid 7.5 out of 10. And the only reason I say it's so low in comparison to the previous episodes is not because this episode was terrible by any means, it's just that there wasn't really anything that happened in this episode that was as extravagant as the previous two. Yes, there was some fun stuff. Yes, there was some cool stuff here and there. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of entertaining moments. But for the most part, it wasn't really anything epic or amazing. Yes, Black has come. I'm definitely stoked and hyped for the Goku versus Black episode, which is coming up, and to see where this freaking saga, continues. I mean, overall, I don't really have that much speculation on the fight itself. All I can really say is that Based off how Goku looks in the preview, it seems that he's definitely going to be testing out his abilities on Black. So far, we only saw him use like regular Super Saiyan 2, and stuff like that. So, how far is this fight going to go? Is Black stronger than Goku, or is Goku like completely solid in this? There's a lot of questions up in the air. But of course, as always, the saga's been awesome. So I have no real big worries. But at the end of the day, let me know what you personally think about all things I had to state in this episode review in the comment section below. What were your personal thoughts on the episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What are your personal thoughts? And of course, let me know what you personally think about next week's episode. But with that being said and done, right before I end this video, please go to my channel if you have not done so already. I'd really appreciate it if you check out my review for the newest chapter of the Dragon Ball Super manga. I posted that a couple days ago, so if you check it out, I greatly appreciate it. And of course, shameless plug time. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Josh12. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And hope you guys enjoyed. And this has been Josh12.